Ricardo, good morning. And good morning to everyone. Ohio gozaimasu and guten tag, and wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this monthly Global Chamber conversation about trade, exporting, importing, FDI, foreign direct investment, tourism. And oh my, what a world we have. I have two opening comments, and then we've got four people lined up to speak, and then we're going to have a roundtable. So the goal of this is something that Bill Edwards had mentioned years ago. Of the reason he loves Global Chamber is that he can talk to people on the ground all over the world and get a direct, no nonsense, real perspective of what's going on everywhere in the world. And so we've got a number of people in the room today to be able to do that. I'd first like to start with a comment that I heard yesterday. Let's see, I probably really shouldn't mention the name, but it's having worked myself in a multinational, two different multinationals, especially the second one that I worked in, Freeport-McMoRan. They were very careful with anything that I did as an executive and any groups that I joined or any presentations. And we're seeing that in different, like the U.S. Commercial Service, for instance, right now. It's almost impossible for any of them to speak without having their words checked. And so that's not something, honestly, I've never really liked. I mean, people should be able to talk the way they are. And I bring that up because he gave a quote. We were talking about putting together, I'll hint at it, an agricultural group. He's a spectacular leader at a big multinational company. And I was asking him if he'd lead the global agricultural group, which he said yes. And he loves Global Chamber. And in fact, he said, we need Global Chamber more than ever. And I took that to mean, and I checked to see what he was thinking. I think we're aligned, is that the world is very divided. There are more and more silos than ever before. There are just weird things, or what I perceive to be weird things going on that are just, to me, just not right. And what we need to be doing continually is leading to bring us together and to break down the silos and to simply do trade. When we do trade, we talk to each other, we mediate, we negotiate, we work things out. That's very human. That's the kind of mindfulness that we advocate and that trade leads. And so I encourage all of us to continue to be the people we are and to lead by example. And all the people we have here today are leading by example, and they're all going to be sharing different parts of what's going on in the world. So number one is let's do the right things, and everything I think will work out in the end. Secondly, Global Chamber is all about trade. We're all about building prosperity around the world and helping companies be more successful. Number one, making connections. And so on April 27th, we have a new member portal coming up. And so we're busy getting all of that ready. That will enable members to do deals at a much more accelerated pace, be able to get to know each other better at a deeper level. And we're really excited that we're taking next steps to be able to facilitate trade even more and all around the world. So congratulations for all of you for being early adopters of Global Chamber. We really appreciate your support and collaboration, and we're looking forward to working with you in the coming weeks, months, and years. Let's kick off today with one of my favorite people, Ricardo Van Ellen. He is our executive director for Global Chamber in Argentina. He is just an extraordinary leader. There are a number of different organizations that he's part of where he's, like, certainly one here in the US, where he's been the only foreign person for many years. And the reason for that is that he is so multicultural, so kind, so mindful, so intelligent, so knowledgeable, not just about Argentina, but has a great vision of the world. So, Ricardo, thank you for so many years of partnership and collaboration. Thank you for your leadership. You're an inspiration for me on a regular basis. You're seeing some things in the world from Argentina. You're traveling quite a bit in your newer roles. What would you like to share today about what's going on in the world? What should we know?
Good morning, Doug. Thank you for the invitation. Good morning to everybody. And you are an inspiration, Doug. You are an incredible leader. So uh, let me go straight to what matters for this audience today. Where is the money going? What are the real risks, and how do you actually execute deals today? Uh, Let me start with a simple reality. We are going to speak about Argentina today. I'm going to say some words about that, and Latin America in general. Argentina is not a country in crisis. It is a country in repricing. That's very important. That's the main concept to start on. And repricing environments are exactly where foreign direct investment generates systemic asymmetric returns. Uh, because today the key question is not, is Argentina stable, or the real question is, can I enter before stabilization is fully reflected in asset prices? In terms of global context, let's align on the global picture. Global economic growth is around 2.5-3% per year. The global trade growth is around the same figures, 2 to 3% per year. Foreign direct investment flows down approximately 10% to 15% in the last 2 years. And that's connected to what Doug said at the beginning. Now stabilizing, but highly selective. Yeah, and sometimes supply chains are shifting towards diversification, regionalization, uh, friendshoring, nearshoring. The cost of capital remains relatively high still, and geopolitical risk is now part of every investment decision. So deals are happening, but only where structure compensates for our uncertainty. And across investment funds, corporations and institutional investors, I see three filters dominate. The first one is direction of the economy, not perfection, but trajectory. The second is clarity and predictability of regulations. And the third is ability, and that's very, very important, ability to execute it locally. Nobody is asking, almost nobody is asking, is this market perfect? They're asking rather, can I operate, scale, and protect my downside? Let's talk about a little bit, let's quantify Latin America. Around 8% of global economic output, more than 650 million people, around 30% of the world's freshwater resources. You cannot print it. Fresh and land, you cannot print it. So around 30% of the world's freshwater resources, and around 20% to 25% of future agricultural expansion potential. And most importantly, a large share of the world's lithium resources, and strong relevance for energy and food security in general terms. But here is the key strategic point. Capital that does not flow to countries, that not flows to countries. It flows to sectors, assets, and execution teams, very specifically. In such a context, Argentina today is undergoing a deep macroeconomic reset. Some key data points, for example, inflation. In 2023, approximately 211 annual inflation, currently decreasing with monthly rates trending down. In terms of fiscal situation, moving from persistent deficits to a primary fiscal surplus. Currency and regulatory environment, gradual normalization process underway, and the economic activity short-term contraction expected during stabilization. If we translate all this to business in the short term, that's now one year, volatility remains, prices need constant adjustment, finances options are still limited. In the medium term, 1 year to 36 months, significant upside in asset valuation, improvement in margins and distortions normalize, advantage for early entrants. And I would like to give the first glance what's going on in terms of investments. Where are they actually going? Let's go sector by sector with some numbers. First, energy. Vaca Muerta, the second largest shale gas reserves in the world, the fourth largest shale oil reserves in the world. Oil production growing approximately between 15 and 20% compared to the previous year, export potential expanding through new infrastructure. And this is already attracting billions, literally billions of dollars in investment right now. It's happening right now. Lithium and mining. Argentina is a key player in the lithium region, share with Chile and Bolivia. The production pipeline from around 40,000 to 50,000 tons per year today, and to more than around 200,000 tons per year expected by the next year and 2028. So the growth is incredible. Demand driven by electric vehicles, energy storage systems, and of course, as always in mining, this is a long-term structural investment. Then we have agribusiness. Of course, speaking about Argentina is a leading global exporter of soybean products, corn, beef, represents approximately 60 or 70% of total export revenues. And there are some key opportunities here, for example, moving from raw commodities to value-added production. And that is where margins increase significantly. And last but not least, there is the knowledge economy. More than 500,000 professionals in technology and service. You have in Argentina export revenues around 8 to 10 billion US dollars per year. And there are strong capabilities in software development, artificial intelligence services, engineering in general terms, very competitive combination of talent on one side and cost on the other. In terms of foreign and FDI and foreign direct investments, let me be very precise here. Foreign direct investment today is not passive capital. It is operational positioning inside strategic systems. Global trends now, investment focus on key sectors such as energy, technology, and critical minerals. Strong emphasis on risk management through structure and long-term strategic positioning. Investors mainly are looking for operational control of influence, access to strategic assets, and protection against downside risk, of course. In Argentina, this works when you are structured with strong local partners, protected through robust legal and contractual frameworks, and designed with flexibility in pricing, currency, and timing. The mistake is treating investment as a simple financial allocation against the reality, which is this is strategic deployment and the execution of this. If you are considering, if anybody is considering entering Argentina today, there is something essential: partner locally, structured contracts to manage currency fluctuations, price adjustments, and timing risks, and operate in phases: pilot, scale, and expand. Stay close to execution. Distance destroys deals. This is not remote control. And one key point: speed matters, but controlled speed. And this is where organizations like the Global Chamber become critical. And I'm very, very crystal clear and very honest, because investment projects do not fail because of macroeconomics. They usually fail because of misalignment on the ground, weak execution, incorrect partnerships. What really matters here is trusted access, real market intelligence, strategic connections. And let me close with this. Argentina is moving from distortion to structure. And in that transition, risk is visible, but opportunity is not fully priced. The winners in this cycle will not those who analyze the most, in my opinion. They will be those who enter early, structure correctly, and execute locally. Thank you very much. Happy to continue the conversation. Doug.
Thank you, Ricardo, and happy Easter this weekend. Thank you.
Likewise.
Are you going to be able to hang on for a little bit, or do you need to run?
I should run. I have but if there is any hot shot here to answer, I'm ready to do it in the next 3 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Does anybody have any questions for Ricardo? Bill, have you done some business in Argentina?
A long time ago, but now looking to come back again, obviously, because it's now a pretty hot market for franchise development. The first time in 20 years, Ricardo, it's now back again.
Fantastic. What are the factors that make you say that?
Well, first of all, there are local people who want to make new investments. That's not something that was going on the last so many decades, right, Ricardo? But now people want to make investments. And so when we take a U.S. franchise brand to another country, we have to go to countries where people are making investments. Okay. And all of a sudden, Argentina is back again after 20 years of being away.
So
big time.
Local people investing in franchises for the country.
Well, local people making investments, which means that psychologically they believe in the future, right, Ricardo?
You are very, very right. And in terms of franchising, I work. I mean, I am in some institution with. I share some activities in the with the president of the man who is the president, the gentleman who is the president of the Argentine Association for Franchising, and you're right. I mean, there are local people wanting to invest. The bigger risk in Argentina today is execution risk during transition. This is a transition, and transitions are blurry, are not very clear in not the direction. The direction is clear. The challenge is timing, implementation, and consistency. That's why structure matters more than macro. If you structure properly, you can operate even with volatility. But I mean, when you say 20 years, the first question, natural question, is is about if the current economic program is sustainable or not, because that's very.
Absolutely.
And the answer, I would say that sustainability depends on political continuity and social tolerance. Social tolerance is crucial. And from a technical standpoint, fiscal correction is real. Monetary discipline is improving, really. So the foundation is stronger than before, but markets are still pricing execution uncertainty, not failure. And the right moment to enter in such a scenario, there are only two moments. I mean, before normalization, higher risk, higher return, and or after normalization, lower risk, lower returns. So right now, Argentina is between those two phases. So the window is open, but not forever at this level of potential return. I, I mean, I mentioned energy, mining, agribusiness, knowledge-based services. Those are the best, the four real sectors with traction. Uh, these are not future bets. Capital is already deployed there. And I mean, and I know that historically it has been a bit complex to repatriate profits, and today the direction is toward gradual normalization. But for now, you must structure for flexibility and assume timing constraints. And the role of local partners, and that's something that Global Chamber, I mean, I experienced that with through Global Chamber, doing business in other countries. And there are many examples that we have mentioned many times in webinars, in meetings. What Global Chamber provided to me and to my clients is this, the role of a local partner, which is sometimes in Argentina and in general terms in Latin America, it's not optional because they provide execution capability, regulatory navigation, and risk reduction consequently. So your partner is part of your investment structure. When you plan, the partner is the local partner always, I mean, I see it that way, is part of your investment structure. And what makes Argentina different today from other emerging markets? I would guess two things mainly. Depth of assets, energy, food, human capital, and the level of distortion being corrected. That combination creates still high volatility, but also high upside. And I mean, the main thing is not to avoid big mistakes. And what mistakes do foreign investors usually make? There are, I mean, in my very humble opinion, three common mistakes: underestimating execution complexity. Things are more I mean, you know, every country, every big city, talking about the Global Chamber, every big city, every main city, every capital city is a world, is a universe. So you don't have to underestimate execution complexity, playing with the local role, with the local rules. Over rely on macro signals. Yeah, macro is okay, but not for over relying on them. And not investing in local structure. It requires active management. Argentina is not a passive market. Again, if you invest if you were investing today, I would enter through a structured partnership, focus on specific sector, not the whole market. Specific sectors means immediately and naturally specific places, specific regions, specific supply chain, specific geography. And so focus on specific sector and build a phased deployment strategy. Pilot, scale, design the position before scaling it. That would be my last very strong suggestion.
Thank you, Ricardo. Really great words of wisdom. We'll continue to go around the room, and we've got, I think, 3 speakers, and then we'll hopefully have time at the end for just roundtable. And for all of you, please put your information in the chat. Please raise your hand if you have questions, and we'll be wrapping up in about 30 minutes. Ricardo, you're awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Easter. Bill, we'll now turn to you. Bill Edwards, as he alluded to, is not only an expert in the franchise world, the preeminent franchise expert internationally, but he also has a very wide and distributed expertise from oil and gas to retail to manufacturing and to a variety of different businesses that rely on exporting and importing around the world. He has 50 years of trade experience. He leads the District Export Council for Southern California. We're honored to have him as an advisor on the advisory board for Global Chamber Los Angeles. He's got a big event coming up as on May 7th, World Trade Week in Orange County. He is the person in Southern California for international trade, and he's got a global reach. Bill, thank you so much for being here. Your biweekly is an essential read for all of us so that we can get a context of not only the 40 or so countries that you focus in on, but the entire world for all of us that are doing international business. What would you like to share today?
Well, thanks, Doug, for the introduction. You asked me to speak about the status of global trade, and I'm going to choose a macro approach rather than a micro approach. If you want to see the micro, go to our biweekly global business newsletter. I put the new link for the Substack location where it is. You can go take a look at the micro. You can see about the price of jet fuel more than doubling to over $200 a barrel, or all those wonderful statistics, the fact that fertilizer is not flowing out of the Persian Gulf, all those sort of micro things. But today I'd like to be a little bit more macro as far as the philosophy and psychology, a little bit about focused about where Ricardo was. The director and chief executive officer of Chatham House in London says we live not in interesting times, but in excessively interesting times. And that's not always a plus. But where are we? Well, we've got a major war in Europe, a major war in the Middle East, U.S.-China tensions, challenging times with longtime allies, very widespread economic upset. And then we have, of course, the AI adding complexity across all of these challenges. After doing 52 years of global business, I've seen many cycles. But what we're experiencing now is different. Trade is not collapsing; it's reorganizing, but it is fragmenting. Ricardo talked about geopolitical risk. Geopolitical risk analysis now must be a core business variable. Every CEO doing any business really, in effect, needs to manage geopolitical exposure. They need to think about what impact other countries have and competitors in other countries and other country policies and wars have on them. If there's one thing that I've learned over the 5 decades of working around the world, it's global business never stops. It adapts. And businesses that succeed in the next 10 years are not going to be the ones waiting for stability to return. because that ain't going to happen, pardon my language. They're going to be the ones who understand that we're in a new environment and they have to adjust their strategies. Way back when I was in the oil business, we did 5-year business plans. Well, up until COVID, we did 3-year business plans, and now we're doing 6 month to 1 year business plans. The key is to constantly look at your strategy in doing business and to adjust it. I think the world is infinitely more complex, but for those who get it right, those who manage geopolitical risk, I believe there's a great opportunity and it's never been greater than before. And those are my macro comments and philosophy for today, Doug.
Brilliant. How does one do that? What do you recommend? How do you do it? And what would your general recommendation be for others to manage that more
Well,
effectively?
I think you have to, and I'm not selling my newsletter. You have to be aware of what's going on around you, and you have to look at as many information sources as you can to determine what's going to impact your business. But the idea of geopolitical risk was something that people didn't think about unless they were really an international company. But look at what's happened to U.S. companies in regards to tariffs the last year. You know, you don't have to be an international company in the United States or doing business internationally to have been immensely impacted financially by tariffs. So the key is to watch what's going on, to monitor what's happening, and to keep your strategic business plan up to date based on that. If you're doing international business, you've got to pick your places. You really got. I think Ricardo was a really good person to have on. As I said, 20 some odd years ago, we were taking U.S. franchises into Argentina because it's an amazing country, very sophisticated country, big country, high level of education. And then, of course, everything went to hell in a handbasket with bad governments, bad economies, 200% per year inflation, which is down now, I think, to about 10 or 15%. And then all of a sudden, in the last year or so, things have totally changed. And the government has totally changed the policies. But the key is that the local people are now wanting to invest in the future. And for about 20 years, they weren't investing in the future because they didn't believe there was a future in their country. But now they do. And this is a huge change that Ricardo mentioned. So you got to look for those type of things. Where is that sort of attitude going on? What countries are ones where the people are making new investments? The people are doing business. The consumers are spending at a good rate. Don't spend your time in countries where that isn't happening because it's not a good place to look to do business. That's I learned that the hard way. This is not rocket science. I learned it the very hard way, and usually had to make the mistake several times to get it right. But look for the places to do business where the economies are strong. And by the way, there is a link to my newsletter in the chat. It's geowizard.substack.com. It launched in Substack this week. Thanks for the chance to speak on a macro basis, Doug, rather than the stat. The stats are in the newsletter. The stats are in the Financial Times, The Economist, you know, that sort of the Wall Street Journal. But really, it's a macro approach. Geopolitical risk analysis is macro. We've got to figure out whether you don't want to spend your company's money and time going to places where you're not going to make any money. And today, you got to be very careful where you go.
That makes sense. Thank you for that enlightening thought. I think, to your point, Ricardo's view of what's happened in Argentina, he's been telling us that for about a year in terms of what's happening. And so to hear it.
It's real. It's absolutely real. It's happening.
Earlier this week, we had a similar conversation about Ghana, where we had signals that it was changing there as well. I don't know it as well, but the indications are that Ghana would be another country that seems to be on the upswing. I don't know whether you have enough fixed. Do you have a sense of that? I know Shalom is in the call, but would Ghana be in that same category where local people have more confidence, they're spending more money, and so it has more potential for the types of
I'm not an expert on Ghana, so I don't really have a clue. I'd have to defer to Shalom.
Okay,
So
very good. And it looks like Shalom might have either an opinion or he'll defer, but he has he has a view not only of all the countries of Africa, 54 countries, but also because he's an exporter, a view of the world. Hi, Shalom. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No worries. No worries. Well, thank you. Hello to everyone as well. I mean, similar to Argentina, I guess you could say Ghana is similar. I think the interesting thing with Ghana, though, is that there has been actually for the last maybe 5 to 8 years significant investment from the diaspora going back, and so that has played a huge role in that. For us, strategically, we have been, and I've said this for the last couple of years, I think we've been strategically moving a lot of, or some of our operations from Nigeria into Ghana. Um, and so we have been exporting more, even though sourcing from different parts of the continent, but kind of consolidating and exporting from Ghana. And there are a lot of good infrastructural things that they've done that's made it pretty attractive. It's an English speaking country. They've invested quite a bit into really marketing themselves the last, I would say, 5 to 8 years to make that a reality today. So I would say that's very true.
Very good. I'm thrilled that I see three Orange County connected leaders here, which is kind of cool because Shalom, what's your relationship with Orange County? You've got one, don't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. When I moved from Nigeria, moved straight to Orange County. So uh, I feel like a Orange County in many ways native as well. So yes.
Yeah. How much of the year do you spend there?
Not as much as I probably want to, but I come in and out. I was my family's still there, so I do come visit. At least once every 4 to 6 months or so, if I'm in the country.
Very, very good.
Yeah,
Well, welcome. Are you able to hang on for a few more minutes?
absolutely.
I'd like to now shift, if folks don't mind, to Ann Tamil, who leads a variety of different initiatives in Orange County, including she's got a very special event coming up on April 16th. That includes Bill Edwards, and I'll be there as well. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have a special announcement between now and then, about Orange County and Ann's role within Global Chamber. So I'll let her. I won't steal her thunder either about that or her update. We asked Ann, because of her global reach, to give her view of what's going on in the world right now. So Ann, thank you for the leadership, not just with women around the world and in Orange County, but within the trade organizations and within Global Chamber. What would you like to share today?
Thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate this opportunity to be here and spend this time with all of you. And I can't echo enough positive words about Bill Edwards' newsletter. Absolutely, we're living in excessively interesting times. And I echo his sentiment rather than waiting for stability. It's important to accept change is inevitable, and the local systems really do become the backbone for trade. So what we're finding in Orange County is there's a great deal of optimism and opportunity here. Orange County has been identified as a strategic gateway to the US market for foreign direct investment. We've got biotech, aerospace, tech, medical devices, financial services. So we're, for the first time, really working to find a way to unify our 34 cities to come together with our really first coordinated foreign direct investment effort. And we're also poised to become the next hub of innovation. So the Irvine Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship has been funded in January. We're excited about that, about getting local entrepreneurs the support they need to thrive and support this movement. And we're finding that with the federal support pulling back, a great many of us are privately funding the initiatives that were sort of taken away last year, but that are going to lead to this unity that's so essential for us to come together, not only as a county, but as a globe. And Orange County is a model for the globe, which is my hope and vision that we can. I work with. I've got a CEO collective. I work with a great many leaders to find different ways to come together, not only within their organizations, but within greater society around them. So, it's an important moment for us to define who we are globally. Women are also poised to redefine leadership from Orange County. So I've taken the opportunity to really bring women together. In October 24, I hosted at the Cove OC Women in Business Forum, and I introduced Uniting and Empowering Women in Orange County in Business to Orange County. But I'd love to unite and empower women worldwide, because I do believe that when it comes to innovation and Orange County's efforts with innovation, it's really important to highlight women and to bring women into the center of this, and also men, absolutely. And we so appreciate Bill Edwards being so gracious and kind and generous with his wisdom. But what we're doing is April 16th at the Paul Mirage School of Business, we're introducing the first Global Women in Innovation Summit. So we're bringing together a lot of important thought leaders. Some are flying in. I've got my first boss, Andy Cunningham, who launched the Macintosh for Steve Jobs, actually zooming in at the end from Silicon Valley, just to talk about what it really means to bring innovation to Orange County and make all of this possible. So if you're local, please join us. I've shared the link in the chat, and we've got Bill Edwards leading a panel on some of these topics I just touched on. And we also have, you can join globally. We're going to get a link. So please follow that link and join us if you can.
Fantastic. What's your sense of Orange County business? How is the economy there? How should investors from other parts of the world be considering Orange County versus other alternatives in the U.S.?
There's so much opportunity that's being identified here that was maybe more of a hidden, we've got so many, especially the tech, medical devices, AI, we're growing in so many different ways. So it's been a really fascinating time to see how in the midst of all this turmoil, there's also a lot of local optimism and a lot of privately funded efforts to advance. And a lot of tech is coming into Orange County because it's an attractive place, even though we may not have the plants here. The deal makers are here in Orange County, and there are a lot of important deals being made. And it's a really important, pivotal time to look at Orange County as a place for more foreign direct investment.
So I think generally people know that Orange County is kind of between Los Angeles and San Diego, closer to Los Angeles, and it's a very wealthy county. And so there's a lot of investors there and a lot of folks who basically are residing in Southern California and finding it a great business ecosystem. So definitely check it out. I guess the largest city is Irvine. Is that? And Newport Beach is there. And what are some of the other cities or towns that are significant?
Yeah, Irvine is really poising itself as central to all of this, because Irvine has taken the initiative to bring together, I believe it's the Orange County Business Council. Bill Edwards could share a bit more on this, but they're really coming together as sort of the hub of all of this, and creating more of an ecosystem here in Orange County, whereas we've had some silos, we've had some, different cities and different chambers operating independently. But with Irvine, poising itself at the center of this, there's so much more opportunity to come together and make this an attractive county for investment.
Very good. So I can see a global chamber Irvine in our future. So thank you for sharing. Really appreciate that. While we have Shalom here, Shalom has that Irvine, Orange County connectivity along with Africa. Shalom, do you mind sharing a little bit about your perspectives of what's going on? You kind of hinted towards some of the things that you're involved with and how you're viewing the world. Could you, anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. I think, Bill already touched on some of the macro things that we all know are happening. And I think Africa is, in a very interesting, position at the moment. And when it comes to sourcing, and exports from the continent, one of the things that has spiked, obviously, as of recent, has been in fertilizer. And so that being still part of the agro-allied space that we're in, we've seen a huge increase in the demand for fertilizer, which we have a large supply of, provided that Nigeria is a huge oil producing country. And we do have some very large fertilizer manufacturing capabilities, upwards of about 8 million tons. And so we're seeing a lot more demand for that in the US market and other markets. And, just we've just kind of been strategically paying attention to what's going on and where we can kind of have an advantage or have an edge to export more from the continent, our food items. For a long time, our headquarters in the US is actually in Tustin, close to Irvine. And so that has always been part of the vision to sort of connect my African connection to my US connection. And that's been the whole purpose of our business. And so importing into LA and Irvine has been a core part of my business growth. My family has some businesses in Irvine still today, right by John Wayne. I often come through Irvine. And so I've seen the growth as well from when, it used to be a lot of orange groves. Now, it's totally different. You have it's totally different. But there's huge potential. I think that one of the things I would love to see in the future is even more growth and opportunity to show that Africa as well is, just like Ricardo was talking about Argentina, there is a lot of opportunity on the continent. I think one of the areas that the U.S. has kind of been slow on is really making those strategic steps into paying attention to the African investment opportunity, which frankly, Asian countries have done a lot better at over the last decade, and they're reaping the benefits of it. I always say this, just the same way as you look at manufacturing in China many, many years ago and the growth that has propelled to today, that is what you should be looking at the African continent as, because a lot of manufacturing is there. Obviously, a lot of local resources are there. So it actually even makes more sense to manufacture on the continent. And to echo what Ricardo said, the key to all of it is going to be local partnership. If you don't have local partners that really understand the dynamics there, it's going to be challenging. But we have been importing. Actually, my first distribution center was in Irvine, off of Sand Canyon, and so I take huge pride in saying that and being happy that we were able to bring in something from the continent, process and package it in Orange County, and then distribute it throughout the country. So I hope to see more of that. It has gone. It's a lot more expensive, but I think from a corporate perspective, it is essential to have, at least for us. I think it's very important for us to have a presence in Orange County because, again, the network is there, the money is there, and when you're in that space in that vicinity, it's an opportunity. So it's one that we don't plan on moving away from.
Maricela at the Port of LA still speaks very fondly of you and your leadership and when you imported into containers into the port. You're still primarily using on the West Coast the Port of LA?
Yeah, so we have been, as you know, we moved our distribution centers to Atlanta, Georgia. So the Savannah port has been closer there, but we are, I mean, for the West Coast, LA is the primary port because for the West Coast, it's a lot more costly to import to the East Coast or to Atlanta and then transport it to the West Coast. So LA is still a key port for us.
What are your key products right now?
Well, right now fertilizer is big, um, um, but ginger is one that we're tapping into quite heavily as well. We're doing ginger powder and ginger oleoresin, which is ginger oil, which a lot of people aren't too familiar with, but it's used a lot in essential oils and pharmaceuticals. Um, Obviously hibiscus, but dry fruits as well. We've done a lot of dry fruits, dried pineapples, dried mangoes, coconut flakes, things of that nature. So we're really just paying attention more to even, I mean, with hibiscus, obviously, as you know, we're doing more with concentrates. If you go to Chick-fil-A today, I'm sure you can get a hibiscus drink at every Chick-fil-A. And so, yeah, we're just looking at other products, but fertilizer is probably the biggest one at the moment. Soy, sesame, ginger, hibiscus, and yeah, I'd say those are the ones top of mind.
Fantastic. I'll think of you every time now with a Chick-fil-A, in addition to when I drink my hibiscus water. We only have about 3 minutes, and so I see Christine from the Latvian American Chamber. Christine, I don't want to put you on the spot either, but any like a couple minute conversation about Latvia? That's a hot emerging Europe market. Anything that you would like to share, or just say hi?
Yes, thank you so much, Doug. Hello, everyone. I am really excited to be welcomed in this small, intimate group. And it's so funny that you mentioned Orange County, is because I am just as of beginning of this week starting to plan a visit with the Latvian Investment and Development Agency to the greater LA area at the end of this month. So I will be reaching out to probably many of you to see how we can build those bridges and build those connections. So Latvia is a really booming small market in the Baltics. And as far as building those bridges with the US, we are working on our growing area of tech and dual use specifically, also some things in energy and aerospace. And so these are the markets that we're looking to really build greater partnerships with. The United States is a really big market for us where we're wanting to establish that presence. And so this is serendipitous timing as it happens with Global Chamber, right? And we will be also at Select LA. So if any of you are going to be at Select LA, please do stop by, say hello. Would love to meet you in person. But really excited to dig deeper in the Global Chambers Network and specifically in that greater LA Orange County area and build that strength. So
I'll be there, and I'll bet quite a number of members of Global Chamber will be there. So looking forward. So let's coordinate, definitely. Thank you very much. Bill, before you step out and before we all end the call, would you like to make any final comment?
Well, I think we just today proved again the value of Global Chamber. I mean, just look at all the things we managed to accomplish. Ricardo catching us up on a market that's been gone for a long time and a huge market coming back, and Shalom with his connection with his facility off Sand Canyon was really an interesting announcement. I didn't know about that, Shalom, but congratulations on that. And then I'm really looking forward to Ann's event on the 16th at Paul Mirage School at UCI.
Absolutely. And we'll be there in Bill's event on May 7th.
I'll
last
also
year,
be at UCI. May 7th is the Orange County World Trade Week event. And anyway, Doug, thank you for letting us all communicate here. It's been interesting. And at the end, we bring in Latvia, for gosh sakes. Wow, that's even better.
And I'll bring in Taiwan too, because May 7th is the Orange County, the World Trade Week. And then the 8th, there's a Taiwan U.S. Business Council meeting that Global Chamber is part of, led by Matt Salmon, former representative of the U.S. And I encourage, if any of you have anything to do with Taiwan, that's going to be a significant annual meeting that we're kicking off at ASU in Tempe, Arizona. I'd like to end our overall conversation by touching on some of the comments that were made around how we need to stay together. Last year, there were 3 holidays, the end of Ramadan, and Easter, Western Easter, and Orthodox Easter, that all came together on the same day. This year, it's been fragmented. We've already had the end of Ramadan. We have Western Easter this Sunday, and then I'm Greek Orthodox, and so a week from now we'll have our Orthodox Easter. So they're fragmented. That doesn't mean that we're not together. And so let's continue to work together to do trade, to understand, to manage risk. As Bill talked about, trade isn't ending. Trade is just reformulating, and managing risk becomes much more important. We'll never, as Ricardo mentioned, get to the point where there's no risk. We just need to manage it better. So, Bill, thank you for your leadership. Thank you all for either speaking or participating today, and have a great, happy weekend and happy Easter.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Easter.
Global Chamber Irvine, that has a nice ring to it. Global Chamber Orange County. We should do something about that.
I like that.
Thanks all. Take care.